I thought I'd share this video with you. It's linked. The actual video itself is linked below. But what I wanted to do here is sort of kind of give you guys a sense as to how computer languages evolve through time. All right. Because this course is going to be taught in Python, and it's a good question. Why are we doing this in Python? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically start playing this video. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause it and then add some, color commentary and then play it again, because in this context, I learned from bitter experience that you won't be able to hear me if I just talk while the video is playing. So let me just kind of move this along here. And what you're seeing is you're basically seeing in 1965, Fortran is sort of like the language most in use. Fortran, by the way, stands, I think, for Formula Translator, I think. And then we have COBOL, which is another language that you might actually at least have heard of. That's common business oriented language. BASIC is also an acronym, and that was actually on a previous video where the BASIC acronym is explained. I can't remember it now, to be honest. And even a language that I was learning in the early 2000s, Lisp, which is not an acronym. I'm not sure why it was called Lisp, but that was even out there on the radar. So anyway, let's forward this through time a little bit. Sorry, why am I talking about this? Fortran, of course, was the language of choice in colleges at that time. So here we go. Now, what I thought was interesting there is COBOL at one point expanded and then was on the decline. We're now in the 70s. What we're probably going to see is COBOL is going to become a lot more popular. But it was interesting that it was popular for a bit, that it declined, and now it's starting to become more popular again. Also, another guy out here that becomes important is Pascal. So here we go. And now around the mid-70s, you start to see another important language popping up, and that's C. Notice that Pascal now is come out of relative obscurity to be number 3, slightly ahead of Lisp. And now in the 80s, we start to see Pascal as the number 1 language that's out there. And guess what? A lot of colleges are starting to teach it now. They're starting to teach in Pascal. I think, yeah, we're about to see C is going to become more popular than Lisp. And I'm actually astonished on how not popular COBOL is, because I know in about 15 years or so, that's almost all I'm going to be coding in. Also notice that C++ pops off in the early 80s as well. And for a reference, by the way, I'm in middle school at that point. And I hope what you're noticing here too is that Ada, which is a language that becomes important in my life because Oracle based its languages off of that, and I used to work at Oracle. Ada came out of virtually nowhere, got to like the top 4. I think we're probably about to see it drop now, but you see how quickly a language can pop out, become pretty important, and then sort of fade into obscurity. So roundabout now is where I'm going into college. And in college, what we are learning is we're learning Pascal. One other thing I should bring up, by the way, is around the middle 80s that Oracle, I bring up Oracle because, again, I worked there for a long time, and I used to also teach a programming language that are called PL/SQL. And PL/SQL was based on two things: SQL, which isn't really here because it's not really a programming language. But the other thing, it was based on the combination of SQL and Ada. So it makes sense to me that Ada, why that happened, because Ada was really popular at the time that Oracle was coming out. Also notice COBOL, pretty minor now, but yet there's a lot of systems out there that are developed in it. And what else did I want to bring up? Fortran is still kicking. And when you look at C++ and C, and if you were to combine them together, that's a pretty whopping majority there. And notice how fast Java shot up there in the mid 90s. I mean, hopefully that level of dynamics that was actually happening there, that I definitely felt that as we were going. By now, by the way, I'm fully coding. I'm out in the world doing things, and it was interesting to watch all this happening. And there you saw the rapid displacement of Java. Java basically came up, and at this point, this is what I'm doing, my Master's of Science, and guess what language we were doing it in? We were doing it in Java. And I would argue that many other colleges now still will teach fundamentals of programming in Java. But notice down here, a new little guy showing up, Python. Note how many C variants we have now: Objective-C, C#, C, and C++. Also, another quick thing to point out, MATLAB. MATLAB is, actually, if any of you know MATLAB, you can feel free to dispute this in the comments or directly in email, but MATLAB is a place for statistical processing. And MATLAB's gone, but R comes up. R is also basically meant for data crunching and is a very popular language now for that. Notice Python now has made it to number 3. All right, now we're at the end of the data, Q3 of 2019. Python is now sitting on top. So what I wanted to do here is sort of, again, kind of explain why we're using Python for this. I think Python is actually a very good language for a fundamentals course because it's got a lot of the main ideas in it. This is not a Python course. We're teaching fundamentals of programming using the Python language. But I got to tell you, it's a language that once you get under your belt, will make learning other languages easier. Plus, on its own, Python has got some data intelligence applications. That's what we use it for at Blue Cross. It's got networking applications. It's got gaming applications. It's also something that some people would argue should be taught in high schools because it is a language that can automate a lot of stuff. I used to have as part of my position, I'd have to every morning basically open up a web page and open up several tabs. And that was just, each tab would take like 30 seconds or whatever to load. And it was, I remember thinking, man, I wish I could just, double click on something and have the whole thing open up to be what I want and just have a little control file, like a little, notepad thing, which I could basically just list off. I want these things open. Wrote it in Python, and it was very quick to write, and it was beautiful. Every morning I get up, I'd double click on an icon, grab a cup of coffee, come back, and my browser was all set up. So what else? Oh, the other thing I had to do at one point was rip open a spreadsheet, pull out all the emails, and make a distribution list out of it. That way I could control the emails inside of the spreadsheet. But I don't code a lot in Python. And when I was first approached for this course, not this version, but several versions ago, I remember thinking, geez, why are we using Python? Then I did some research on it. And I went, okay, I get it. This is why we're using Python. So anyway, I hope that this will make you a little bit more enthusiastic about the language we're choosing for this course and make you more desirous to actually learn a little bit more about Python. And I remember in the links section of the D2L site, I do actually have some other Python links to help you learn more, not just for this course, but for your lives in general. All right, on to the next video.